It's a Kyle Larson video! Yes, and welcome back to the Kyle Larson and Romain Grosjean Simp channel. I hope you're having a good day. Yeah, we got to talk about this because obviously last week Robin Miller stirred the pot a little bit. It was fantastic to have him stirring the pot again, to be honest with you. Get well soon, Robin. But the big part of what he was stirring the pot on really generated a lot of interest, as you would kind of expect. Robin Miller suggested that Kyle Larson needs to do the Indianapolis 500 and Roger Penske needs to do absolutely everything in his power to get there. Now, last week, we talked about Roger Penske responding to that, teasing a little bit, and then giving a much more serious answer at the Hy-Vee, Iowa announcement, where ultimately, he's not going to confirm whether or not he's going to hire Kyle Larson to race in the Indianapolis 500, at least based on one article in one magazine. But the reason we're doing a video today, and probably the reason you clicked on this video, is the fact that Kyle Larson himself has commented on the potential to do the Indianapolis 500, and he's interested. So this article was written on CBSSports.com. The link to that article, if you want to read the whole thing, it's pretty good, will be in the description. But I want to read a choice quote, and it comes from the man himself, Mr. Kyle Larson. "I would love to run the Indianapolis 500 someday, but I would only want to do it if the right opportunity was out there and I was in a car I felt was capable of winning with a team and crew that has a history of winning here at the Speedway." Hint, hint, Larson said. Those cars, I've never driven them, but they're probably way different than anything I've ever driven. So it will take a lot of time and effort to go and get comfortable with it. And I don't want to just show up and say that I competed in the Indy 500. I want to actually give myself a legitimate shot of winning, and with that comes a lot of work. But yeah, I would totally do it if the right opportunity was there. And I'll just say it, I don't want to spoil this because we did film a silly season update video for IndyCar at Gateway. But it was something that, last few weeks I've been in the IndyCar paddock, so I've been able to talk to a lot of people. I'll just say this, teaser for the next video, there's probably only going to be 3 full-time Penske cars next year. Therefore, there would appear to be an open potential seat. Obviously, Penske ran 5 cars this year in the Indianapolis 500, if you count the kind of satellite Peretta Autosport entry, which came out of the Penske shop. So they're clearly capable of putting together an extra car for Indy if they want to. I don't know if Robin Miller necessarily put all this together. I assume he did. It would seem that the exact opportunity that Larson is looking for is there at Team Penske. And perhaps that's why Robin turned up the Bunsen burner there on Roger, because, again, I said this in the last video, but this should absolutely happen. And this should absolutely, every opportunity to make this happen, or every option available, should be made. Because I think if you look at it, the Indianapolis 500 is a race that you already look at the 2022 500 and you see that Scott McLaughlin's going to be there. Obviously, he's run the full season. Jimmy Johnson's going to run. Romain Grosjean, more than likely, is going to run. Alex Albon, likely going to run. All these big names from other series coming into IndyCar. Then you've got, of course, like I've said before, you've got all of the IndyCar stars, the old scurvy dogs, so to speak. You got the Elio Castroneveses of the world, the Scott Dixons, the Will Powers. You got the new generation, the Colton Hertas, the Alex Palou's, the Rinus VKs, the Pato Awards. All of these elements combining into one race. I mean, this is the equivalent of the 1960s when you had all of the drivers from, 2 or 3 drivers from NASCAR come over, 5 or 6 from Formula One, and then you had the regulars on the USAC National Championship Trail. But speaking of USAC, one thing that is underrepresented in the Indianapolis 500 are local American short track drivers. Now, obviously, it's hard to consider Kyle Larson that anymore, or really since probably 2014, since he kind of went big and went to NASCAR. But ultimately, and I've seen Kyle Larson race at the Cup level quite a few times in person, but the BC 39 I went to last weekend was the first time I've seen him win a race. And of course, I don't need to tell you Kyle Larson fans, Kyle Larson has won a tremendous amount of dirt races. I think in some ways, well, we'll see. We'll see how many Cup championships he ends up with. But I think in a lot of ways, people are going to remember Kyle Larson as a dirt track guy, perhaps more than they remember him as a Cup driver. So I think, again, you heard last week I talked about the fact that Jeff Gordon said that Kyle Larson is the next Mario Andretti. I said he reminds me a lot of A.J. Foyt, or at least what I've heard of A.J. Foyt. Obviously, I never got to see A.J. Foyt race. I'm not that old. But I think he's the modern-day equivalent of those two drivers. And when we're throwing around that comparison, well, both of those drivers won the Indianapolis 500. Larson's got to be there. And I think you got to think that Roger Penske is well aware of this. And I think, again, something that we need to do as fans or observers or people involved in the sport, we need to talk about this as being a possibility. There's a reason I've done 2 videos on this. It's not just because Larson gets clicks, so that's a big part of it. But the other part of it is if we keep this conversation going, if we keep this interest level up, trust me, they will see it at Penske Entertainment. They will know that people want to see this happen. And you look at what happened with Iowa, there was enough of a groundswell of support. Roger Penske found a way to make it happen. Now, obviously, he had a lot of partners that helped him do that. This would require a lot of partners to get Kyle Larson to Indianapolis. You would need Rick Hendrick, you would need NASCAR, you would need IndyCar, you need Penske, you need Chevy, you need all these entities to work together to make it happen. But I think that anything is possible in the Roger Penske era. And with him running the series now, he has even more resources available. Hell, he writes the rule book. So one of the things that Kyle Larson's talking about is, I want track time. Well, you can give him as many test days as you want, technically, because you write the rules. I don't know how the other teams would feel about that. But then again, they've given exceptions in the past. I mean, and they've given them to the top guys in the world like Fernando Alonso, and even they've given extra test days to Top Gun Racing just to help them get to the races. So there can be exceptions made to these rules that restrict testing, and I think for the good of the sport, I think most people would agree that if Kyle Larson's like, yeah, I'd like to do it, but yeah, I need a lot of time to learn these cars, I think you should provide that to him to try to get him up to speed as quickly as possible. But I would say this is probably, I'd say a 55-45 chance of happening, and I put it in the positive direction. It's one of those things where so many weird and crazy things have happened in IndyCar, especially with drivers that I just would have never expected to be in IndyCar, like Romain Grosjean. Like, I literally interviewed that guy twice at an oval track race in the year 2021, driving for Dale Coyne. Like, so Jimmy Johnson, would you have ever imagined that this diecast would exist? And then we're going to get an oval version next year. Things like that, So I would not put it outside of the realm of possibility, and I would be remiss if I kind of left this point out, and this is a point that my pal Racing Nation TV made, and that is that Kyle Larson has won virtually every major race that you would need to complete a really fabulous trophy cabinet. Outside of probably the Daytona 500 and the NASCAR Championship, and there's a very high potential that he could nail one of those this year, and potentially could have both of those trophies in his trophy cabinet by the time the next month of May rolls around. The one missing is the Indianapolis 500. The guy's an open-wheel racer. He's a dirt racer. He's also a stock car driver. I think he's got to be in the Indianapolis 500. The interest level is there from him. The interest level is there from the fans. I hope the interest level is there for Roger Penske and Rick Hendrick and Chevrolet, because those are the folks who are eventually going to make this happen when and if it actually does happen. But man, I'm hoping above hope that it happens, because I think it would be a lot of fun, and especially with as stacked as the grid is going to be in 2022, just adding an extra level of talent, just fantastic. So yeah, got a silly season IndyCar video coming. I'm going to be in Daytona this weekend I thought I was done with going to races for a little while. Turns out that's not true. I will be at Daytona. I don't know if I'll be able to do a whole lot of content. I will be there with all the NASCAR YouTubers, so I'm sure you'll be seeing a lot of me, even if I don't upload anything specific onto my channel. It's going to depend how light I want to pack, really, how much content I can produce. But I will be there. Maybe when I get back, I'll make a video, or I'll make one there. It just kind of depends. But yes, I will be observing the Chase cutoff race for NASCAR. And we'll see what happens there. Hey, maybe Kyle Larson will win. Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been David Land on YouTube. Subscribe for more motorsport content, and I will see you in the next video.